What if I told you that a man gambled away an entire retirement fortune over 26 years, and it still could have made him a millionaire? Nick Maggiulli's grandfather received $2,200 a month in retirement income, pension plus Social Security, with almost zero expenses. His mom paid for his food and housing. And yet, when he died in 2019, he had nothing, not a single dollar to his name. He gambled it all away. But here's the part that stopped Maggiulli cold. If his grandfather had taken just half of that gambling money he was throwing away anyway, and invested it in the US stock market every single month, he would have died a millionaire. Even through one of the worst decades in market history. That realization became the foundation of this entire book. Just keep buying. 3 words, 1 idea, and it might be the most powerful personal finance concept you'll ever come across. I'm breaking down the entire book today, every chapter, every major idea, so that by the end of this video, you'll have a complete financial blueprint you can actually use. Let's get into it. Saving is for the poor. Investing is for the rich. Before you do anything with your money, you need to know where you currently stand. And Maggiulli makes this refreshingly simple. When he was 23, he had $1,000 in his retirement account and was obsessing over his asset allocation. Should I hold 15% in bonds? 20%? While regularly blowing $100 a night going out in San Francisco. He didn't realize that one night of drinks and Ubers was costing him an entire year's worth of investment growth on his portfolio. So Maggiulli created what he calls the Save-Invest Continuum. Here's the rule. Calculate your expected savings for the next year. Then calculate your expected investment growth. Your current portfolio multiplied by your expected return. Compare the two. If your savings number is bigger, focus on saving more. If your investment growth is bigger, focus on optimizing your investments. If they're close, work on both. As your wealth grows, the math shifts dramatically. Someone with $10 million in the market who sees a 10% drop just lost $1 million. They can't save their way back from that. But someone with $5,000 invested, their savings decisions matter far more than their portfolio decisions. This one framework could save you years of misplaced focus. Probably less than you think. Here's the rule you've heard a million times. Save 20% of your income. And here's why Maggiulli thinks it's nonsense. That rule assumes your income is stable. It's not. Research from the panel study of income dynamics shows income volatility has risen 25 to 50% since the 1960s. That rule also assumes everyone can save the same percentage. They can't. The bottom 20% of earners spend more than 100% of their take-home pay just on food, housing, healthcare, and transportation. The basics. Instead, Maggiulli offers a radically stress-free alternative. Save what you can. His formula: savings equals income minus spending. That's it. Don't spend hours tracking every dollar. Find your fixed expenses, estimate your variable ones, and whatever's left, invest it. When you earn more, save more. When times are tight, save less. He calls this phenotypic plasticity, adapting your savings like organisms adapt to their environment. And there's a surprising data point here. Most retirees never actually spend down their savings. Research shows only 1 in 7 retirees draws down principal in any given year. The real risk for most people isn't running out of money. It's the anxiety of thinking they will. The biggest lie in personal finance. Stop buying lattes and you'll be a millionaire. Maggiulli is done with this advice, and the data backs him up. The Consumer Expenditure Survey shows that when income doubles, spending on necessities barely budges. Higher earners don't spend 10x more on groceries. They spend maybe 3x more. That's diminishing marginal utility. Each additional dollar of spending brings less satisfaction than the last. The real wealth builder? Growing your income. Cutting spending has a floor. Income growth has no ceiling. Maggiulli gives 5 ways to do it. Sell your time or expertise. Easy to start but doesn't scale. Sell a skill or service. Builds a brand. Earns more per hour. Teach people. Online courses or content. Highly scalable. Sell a product. Create once, sell forever. Climb the corporate ladder. unglamorous, but statistically the most reliable path. The average self-made millionaire? 32 years of work, often in a traditional career. The end goal isn't a side hustle. It's ownership, converting your labor income into income-producing assets. Jerry Richardson played in the NFL championship, but made his billions owning Hardee's, franchises, and the Carolina Panthers. Think like an owner. The 2X rule. Personal finance makes you feel guilty about everything. That daily coffee, that dinner out, that concert ticket. Maggiulli rejects this entirely. His solution, the 2X rule. Whenever you want to splurge on something, invest the same amount into income-producing assets. Want to drop $400 on shoes? Also put $400 into an index fund. That's it. Why does this work? Because the guilt isn't about the purchase, it's about whether you're also taking care of your future self. The 2X rule satisfies both. Beyond that, he says to focus your spending on long-term fulfillment, not just momentary happiness. Borrowing from Daniel Pink's research on motivation. Spend money on things that enhance your autonomy, build your mastery, or connect you to a purpose larger than yourself. That's the spending that actually makes life richer. And research from Cambridge confirms. People who spend money in ways that match their personality report higher life satisfaction, even compared to people who earn more. Spend on what you actually value, not what everyone else says you should. Up to 50% of every raise. The Vanderbilts were once worth more than the entire U.S. Treasury. Within a century, there wasn't a millionaire among their descendants. The culprit? Lifestyle creep, spending spiraling upward with every increase in income. But Maggiulli doesn't say avoid lifestyle creep. He says keep it under control. His rule: save at least 50% of every raise or bonus. Why 50%? Because based on simulations across different savings rates, spending more than half of your future raises typically pushes back your retirement date. Half for present you, half for future you. This also neatly mirrors the 2X rule. Every time you spend on something bigger, match it with an equal investment. It's a consistent philosophy across the book. Enjoy the present and build the future simultaneously. Yes, if you know what you're doing. Maggiulli's take on debt is nuanced and honestly kind of surprising. He says debt isn't inherently good or bad. It's a tool. And there are two scenarios where it makes sense: to reduce risk, locking in future payments, providing liquidity, to generate returns greater than the borrowing cost, like education or mortgages. On student loans, research shows college graduates earn about $655,000 more over a lifetime than high school graduates, even after controlling for demographics. Foremost agrees, borrowing to attend is still financially sound. The formula: value of degree equals increased lifetime earnings divided by 2, minus lost earnings during school. He also points to research showing that credit card debt, surprisingly, sometimes functions as intentional saving for low-income households. People who worry they'll spend their savings use debt as a behavioral forcing mechanism. It's irrational on paper, but psychologically rational. The takeaway: avoid consumer debt when you can, but don't treat all debt as evil. Use it strategically. It's not about if, it's about when. Maggiulli's grandparents bought their California home for $28,000 in 1972. It's now worth $600,000. Sounds like a win. But if they'd invested those same mortgage payments into the S&P 500, they'd have had over $1 million by 2001, 4 times more than a house. Housing, historically, has returned just 0.6% per year after inflation, Robert Shiller's data. Over the long term, it's rarely an investment winner. But Maggiulli says to buy anyway, just at the right time. His 3 conditions: you'll stay in the area for at least 10 years. Transaction costs are 6 to 11% of the home's value. Your personal and professional life is stable. You can afford it, ideally putting down 20% and keeping your debt-to-income ratio below 43%. Buying a home isn't primarily a financial decision. It's a stability decision. It anchors your family, determines your neighborhood, your schools, your community. Treat it like one, and you'll make a much better choice. Your time horizon is everything. Simple rule here: under 3 years, keep it in cash. Yes, inflation costs you a bit, but you don't risk losing it to market swings when you need it most. 3 to 5 years, move into bonds. They historically outperform cash over this period while limiting volatility. 5+ years, a balanced stock/bond portfolio may make sense. The reason is straightforward. If the market drops 20% a month before you need your down payment, cash doesn't care. Stocks do. Money is the least of your worries. The 4% rule, from financial planner William Benjamin's 1994 research, says you can withdraw 4% of a balanced portfolio each year, adjusting for inflation, and statistically never run out of money over 30 years. That means you need 25x your annual spending to retire. Factor in Social Security, you only need 25x your excess spending above that guaranteed income. But Maggiulli's bigger point is this: retirement is more than a math problem. Kevin O'Leary retired at 36 after selling his company and was bored out of his mind within 3 years. Researchers confirm it. People who retire without knowing what they're retiring to often experience loneliness, loss of identity, and declining mental health. Figure out what you want to retire to before you retire from something. Why, what, and how to invest. Now we hit the investing half of the book. Let me run through the core ideas fast. Chapter 10, Why Invest? 3 reasons. Save for your future self. Protect against inflation, the invisible tax that halves your purchasing power every 35 years at 2%. And replace your waning human capital with financial capital. Every year you work, you have 1 fewer year of future earnings. Investing builds the financial version of you that keeps earning after you stop. Chapter 11, What to invest in. Stocks historically return 8 to 10% annually. Bonds, 2 to 4%, but stabilize your portfolio. Beyond those, Maggiulli walks through REITs, farmland, investment properties, royalties, small businesses, and your own products. The key: focus on income-producing assets, things that pay you regardless of sentiment. Gold and crypto don't make the list because they produce no income. Their value is purely perception. Chapter 12, Why not individual stocks? Only 4% of individual stocks have accounted for the entire net gain of the U.S. stock market since 1926. And even skilled professionals, who have full teams of analysts, fail to beat the index 75% of the time over 5 years. The existential problem: you can't even tell if you're good at stock picking because the feedback loop takes years. Stick to index funds. Chapter 13, Invest now. Most markets go up most of the time. That means waiting to invest usually means paying more tomorrow. Maggiulli's data shows that buy now outperforms average in over 12 months in 68 to 76% of all historical periods across all asset classes. The one exception, right before market crash. But since you can't predict those, waiting costs you more than it saves. Chapter 14, Don't wait to buy the dip. Maggiulli runs a legendary thought experiment. Even if you had perfect, godlike knowledge of when markets would hit their absolute bottom, dollar cost averaging still beats you over 70% of 40-year periods. Why? Because markets crash rarely, and the time you spend sitting in cash waiting for a dip costs more than the discount you get when it finally arrives. Chapter 15, Luck Matters. Your birth year affects your returns. The annualized return on U.S. stocks varies from -3% to +17%, depending on what decade you invested in. Sequence of return risk, the order in which returns occur, matters enormously, especially near retirement. But luck is the water we swim in, not an excuse. The response to bad luck is diversification, flexibility, and just keep buying. Chapter 16, Don't fear volatility. Maggiulli runs an elegant simulation. What if you could avoid all years where stocks fell more than X%? The sweet spot is 15%. Avoiding years with drawdowns above that threshold maximizes wealth historically. But there's no genie to tell you when those years are. So accept the bumps. As Charlie Munger put it, if you're not prepared to see your portfolio drop 50% 2 or 3 times a century, you don't deserve the long-run return. Chapter 17, Buy during a crisis. Every 1% drop in a market requires more than 1% to recover. A 33% drop needs a 50% gain to get back to even. Maggiulli shows that buying at any point when markets were down 30% or more historically delivered 10% plus annual returns through the recovery, more than half the time. Even if you thought the recovery would take 5 years, you'd still earn 8% annually. Don't be afraid to buy when there's blood in the streets. Chapter 18, When to Sell. 3 legitimate reasons: rebalancing, getting out of a concentrated position, and meeting your actual financial needs. Outside of those, almost never. And when you do sell slowly, just as you should buy quickly. The best rebalancing method? Keep buying your most underweight asset. No taxes, no complexity. On taxes and 401(k)s. Traditional versus Roth comes down to one question: will your tax rate be higher now or in retirement? Maggiulli generally prefers traditional because it offers more flexibility. You can convert during low-income years, move to a low-tax state, or time withdrawal strategically. And counterintuitively, you probably shouldn't max out your 401(k) beyond the employer match. The tax benefit is only about 0.5 to 0.7% per year. And if your plan has high fees, that advantage disappears entirely. Liquidity has value too. On never feeling rich, research confirms it. Even people in the top 10% of income underestimate how well off they are. Billionaires say they're just comfortable. You probably already are richer than you think. A net worth over $93,000 puts you in the global top 10%. The trick isn't to feel bad about wanting more. It's to not lose yourself chasing it. The most important asset, time. Maggiulli ends with the one thing no amount of money can buy. Your income grows most rapidly between 25 and 35. Your career decisions in those years compound, just like investments. He admits his own mistake, obsessing over portfolio optimization while ignoring career growth. Time, used well in your 20s and 30s, shapes everything that follows. We start life as growth stocks, high expectations, big potential. We end as value stocks, lower expectations, pleasant surprises. The goal is to play the game wisely at every stage. Maggiulli closes the book with a time traveler's game. If you woke up somewhere in the last 100 years with no knowledge of the future, what financial instructions would you give yourself? His answers, the book's rules, are: save what you can. Don't stress about fixed percentages. Grow income first. Cutting lattes won't make you wealthy. Use the 2x rule to spend without guilt. Save 50% of every raise. Buy income-producing assets. Think like an owner. Never buy individual stocks. Index funds win. Invest now, not later. Most markets go up, most of the time. Don't wait to buy the dip. Even God couldn't beat dollar cost averaging. Buy during crashes. The math is in your favor. Sell slowly. Rebalance by buying, not selling. Time is your scarcest asset. Use it wisely. And underlying all of it, just keep buying. Not when the time is right. Not when the market is cheap. Not when you feel confident. Just keep buying. If you've made it this far, you now have more financial knowledge than most people learn in a decade. One action step. Start today with whatever amount you have. Because as Maggiulli's grandfather showed us, even half of what you'd otherwise throw away, invested consistently, can change everything. If this summary helped, subscribe for more full book breakdowns. See you in the next one.